Hey there, beloved. So I almost skipped this week because I've just been very, very tired this week because I think it's been leading up to a new chapter of transformation for me. But instead, I wanted to try to channel this shift in energy into a message. So I think that if anything, it's been an emphasis on the importance of showing up for self and doing that consistently. So especially as an artist, I am actively like, well, I can't expect other people to show up for me if I'm not even showing up for myself. So let me start doing that. And I think that it becomes very difficult sometimes for us to do that consistently because I know personally I've been so conditioned to put myself on the back burner. And I think I've talked about this in other videos, but like not even like what makes me happy. And granted, I have been conditioned to put what makes me happy on the back burner, but it's always show up for everybody else first. But you can't really fully be present with other people in certain spaces if you're not showing up for self, because showing up for self requires you to be authentic. And since I have been in spaces that have challenged me to show up more and more and more authentically as myself, it has been very, very enlightening. It's been very, very humbling. And it's really helped me to deconstruct this idea of individualism, which is so embedded in our culture and in the way that we tend to move through spaces collectively. Like, obviously there are communities that understand, that unity aspect, that oneness aspect, but I think that a large amount of us, we fall so deeply into this individual me type of thought process. And so on one hand, it is important to take care to self, like I just said, but on the other hand, it's like in showing up for self, it is requiring me to become more connected and more one with my surroundings, if that makes sense. Because it's forcing me to do things that I would normally be afraid to do, or that I would normally be hesitant to do, which is then aligning me into spaces with people who I learn from, right? So at the end of the day, everything works in tandem. And doing this consistently establishes a pattern, and number two, it helps to take away from the shame and guilt I think that we often develop associated with taking care of ourselves before we try to be present for others. And then, like I said, being present for self allows you to be present with others in a more authentic capacity. And within that capacity, you're able to understand how I need your light in order to help me see my light. But it's not really yours or my light, it's just different expressions of the same light and of the same soul and of the same spirit and of the same source. You feel me? Like, there's not really that separateness. But until I am feeling good and I'm vibrating high within my vessel, I can't necessarily see past the illusion of separateness to the capacity that, is productive for collective evolution. This video probably won't be that long because I do need to rest and meditate and really lock in, but in the spirit of being consistently committed to showing up for self and committed to shifting my behaviors and shifting my mindset and shifting the way I interact with my surroundings. I'm still gonna put something out there and hopefully this, even though it's not like super in-depth at the moment, I will probably revisit this topic at a later time because it's a never-ending cycle of rebirth and reconnection to the higher self, and thereby reconnection to all of your surroundings. But I do just want to kind of get on here and encourage you to not take shame for taking time with self, for not denying yourself the pleasure and the privilege to show up for yourself, however that looks. And sometimes showing up for yourself is also showing up for others, because like I said, you'll end up in spaces that are aligned for you, and you can't grow by yourself. I mean, you can grow by yourself, but like you're gonna reach a plateau if you don't have anything else surrounding you or anyone else surrounding you to teach you and guide you and help you see you from a bunch of different lenses, because that's all we really are here doing with each other, is showing each other ourselves and mirroring each other and helping us get a better idea and understanding of what unconditional love is. And so I just encourage you to find at least one thing that you've been really wanting to do, or that you know is really gonna like feed the fruits of your soul, and be so overwhelmingly committed to doing that, regardless of being tired, regardless of just wanting to chill, regardless of the temptation to do things that you know may not be in your best interest, things that might be a bit self-harmful, not necessarily self-harm, but that included, if that's the case. But do it despite all the things that you would typically use as excuses. And with that though, make sure that whatever it is you're doing is healthy. Make sure that it's something that isn't like burning you out for you. Feel me? Like, making videos isn't necessarily burning me out. I just didn't feel like it, like in that capacity. Because if I was legitimately just in a place where I wasn't able to show up, then I wouldn't, right? Because I don't want to show up inauthentically. But right now, it's like, it's not necessarily that I can't show up. I just don't feel like it, because it's like, oh my goodness, I really got to do this work internally and externally. But it's like, that's the whole point. So I encourage you to do the same throughout your week, throughout your month, throughout your year. Start with one thing, build upon that, and then when you see the fruits of your labor come about, it's going to be so much more rewarding. So y'all have a great one, and I'll see y'all next week.